in legal medicine. 50% of litigation requires a white coat, a doctor's opinion. And all we learn in medical school about legal medicine is that lawyers don't go to heaven. The biggest complaint I hear from federal workers, I can't find a doctor. I can't find a hospital that'll even see me. Doctors and hospitals do not know how to get paid. Although federal workers' comp pays better than any system, they don't know how to get paid. They don't know how to fill out forms. Federal workers and their supervisors have no training in federal workers' compensation. This is a form in federal workers' comp. It's called a CA-16, Authorization for Examination and Treatment. It's required by law. If you have an acute injury, the supervisor has to give it to the employee. They can check a box they disagree, but everybody gets paid. Every medical provider, hospital, clinic, surgeon gets paid. Now, if, say a year later they decide it's not work-related, everybody gets paid till that point in time. And guess what? The federal government doesn't give them out, even though it's criminal law, fine, imprisonment, or both if you don't. No one knows what to do. The doctor's got to be a lawyer first and then a doctor, or otherwise someone's going to be hurt. Many large hospitals and clinics have tried federal workers' comp and they've failed. Worse than they failed, they've hurt patients. For instance, a hospital tried to do federal workers' comp for 2 years. They fell on their face. I saw the types of reports they put out. I saw the type of schedule. One. Okay. Well, Friday, February 7th, 2025, Doc Ellis, the hip doctor from Oklahoma. Going to talk about federal workers' comp, VA disability, and anything else you want to talk about. Okay, some questions. Rolando, worked post office 19 years, got fired back, and after back was injured 4 years ago, I couldn't do anything. What can I do? If your back was injured and if you filed a claim for it, you can get a scheduled award. That's a disability impairment rating. Okay. Send us go to ellisclinic.com, click appointments for federal workers' comp, OWCP, fill out stuff, give us some records, and then we'll tell you where to go from there. To get a schedule award for a back, you don't get a schedule award in federal for hearts, brains, and spines, because you don't need a heart, brain, or spine to work for the federal government. Now, it's a 1916 law. You cut off a thumb, there was a schedule, cut off an arm, there's a schedule. So, but if you have your back has nerves going down the legs, then I can rate the legs. I can rate the lower extremities. Right? And we'll talk to you too. Have you retired or what's going on? We can help you with that. Maybe it's too late to file for FERS unless you're still a federal employee. But if you're fired 4 years ago, it's too late for FERS, Federal Employment Retirement System. And if it's over 4 years ago, you can't file a new claim. But your back was injured. If it causes weakness down your legs from the nerve being pinched, then maybe hips and knees need to be added to it, and that can be done. Okay. Here we go. Federal workers' comp and VA law are very, 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 very fair. They're ridiculously fair. Why all the problems? Pretend like I am a doctor. I've got a whole bunch of, go to Ellis Clinic and see all the degrees I've got on the wall. It's the white coats. We don't understand. All this stuff requires a doctor's opinion. We have no training in legal medicine. No one's even heard the term legal medicine. It's not occupational medicine. It's legal medicine, especially in federal and VA. And then the employers have poor training, and you'll see that in a minute. But most of all, the biggest problem, there's a bias against anybody files a claim because you're all faking, you're all liars, and everybody thinks it's their job to stop that. Had to be a personal injury lawyer, and the secretary called me and said, "Just give us a report. She's got an arm in a sling." Then this guy takes care of people injured in car wrecks and stuff. So I called him up. I said, "You got to fire your secretary. This lady's got the worst third-degree separation of the AC joint I've seen in 3 years. And if she's still working for you, I'm not going to see your patients because you can't train bigotry. And if you're biased, but people don't know they are." Okay. And no, I'm not biased. Yeah, you are. When I started doing this a zillion years ago, I thought 60% of my patients would be legit and honest, and other people began faking. Now it's different. In fact, patients are so afraid of being thought of as malingering that you have to draw the history out of them. All right. Okay, here is Arlene from North Dakota. Rural Mary Care, North Dakota. I've been for 15 years. Thank you, post office. Delivered mail. My neck popped and shooting pain down my right arm and elbow. Anyway, he said she's got these accepted claims: cervical disc, spinal stenosis, cervical degeneration, nerve radiculopathy from her neck. She also has sprains of the thoracic spine, sprains of the lumbar spine. Okay, and she's on opiates. Okay. And she's had surgery on her neck, infusion, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, the question is, and she's had all this treatment, can I get a scheduled ward for any of my conditions? I was told I will not get anything unless I have positive EMG radiculopathy. Yeah, maybe not now. The Federal Workers' Comp, OWCP, all Workers' Compensation Programs, has come out just recently this January. Okay. This is the 6th edition of the American Medical Association Guides of Evaluation of Impairment. Okay. I've been lambasting this thing for years because they all work for insurance companies. The 5th edition, okay, the Department of Labor Office of Workers' Compensation Program just came out with an advisory that we're going back to the 5th edition because injured federal employees, listen to this, AMA, listen to this. I'm your only plaintiff on the 4th edition, okay, that sees plaintiffs injured people. Everybody else work for insurance companies. That anyway, the AMA and these people have cost federal injured patients $900 million since 2009, and they're going back to 5th edition. You have been hoodwinked, and we're going back to 5th edition. So that's another issue. Fill out your stuff, send it in. We'll talk to you about your claim, whether you can get a scheduled award. Okay, and now there may be consequential injuries. Maybe you also have a carpal tunnel. Maybe anyway. Send stuff. Let's talk about it personally to you. All right, now here we have from Grant from Social Security Disability. I felt injured hip, torn labrum, lower spine, herniated disc this January 2004. And injections, surgery, and IME says no surgery. This doesn't sound like Social Security. Oh, that's OWCP. Okay. So the internal medicine, the independent medical examiner said no surgery, probably without examining you. So if your doctor recommends surgery, you get another second opinion. I would recommend that your doctor send you to me as a consult. I don't need to be a treating doctor. And if I agree with your treating doctor, I will write a letter that you need the surgery. And then when the IME says you don't need it, then we'll ask for an oral hearing. I will do the oral hearing with you and your doctor if he wants to be on it. Now, when you get to the oral hearing level, I've yet have an oral hearing officer who wasn't just honest, pragmatic, common sense. Okay. But I see a lot of second opinion doctors for the federal government that just are dishonest. They don't do a good job. Some do, some don't. But you can't go back to work. You can't walk, and so all you should be on workers' comp for the rest of your life. If you're married, it's 75% of your pay. If you're single, it's 67% of your pay. So make sure you're on workers' comp. If your doctor doesn't know how to do that, I will help. Then you need to get your fanny in here. I don't care where you're from, and we will help you fill out the legal medicine stuff that you need to have to stay on workers' comp. Sometimes it's hard for doctors to do that because they feel guilty seeing you once a month and filling out a form, but it's needed. It's just what's needed, and because there's no training in legal medicine and no training in federal workers' comp. Okay, so send us your stuff and we'll give you a call. Okay, this is Martin. VA regulation, migraines, tinnitus. How do you determine a rating? Tinnitus, ring ears, damaged ears, contributes to the trigeminal nerve irritation, which contributes to migraines. So tinnitus is, you can have consequential migraines, okay? Or aggravation of migraines if you already have when you went in the service, okay? And how do you rate it? There's a book. You can rate it 10, 30, 70. And that depends on how often you take it and how often they occur. Okay. Here's Harold. I need your help. Question 5. I don't have all of question 5. Do you?
No, that's all it was.
Oh, I need your help. Well,
Harold,
get with EllisClinic.com, send some stuff in, and we'll take care of you. Okay. Or we'll tell you we can't. Okay. Now here's question 6. Carlos, I need to contact you about a Nexus letter for sleep apnea, secondary condition, and previously. Sure, yeah. Just go to EllisClinic.com, click appointments, VA disability, put in anything you've got, and we'll see if there's a Nexus there. You know, if you have tinnitus, ringing your ears, most people do, being in the service. There's the link to there, both case law and medically. Okay. Also sleep apnea. You've got that. No, 7. Bill needs to be put in the VA before. Okay, it needs to be. Okay, this is just information. Sleep apnea needs to be put into the VA before April 2025 because they're going to lower it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe with the new head of VA, maybe we'll be honest again. Okay. And this is from Thomas. Do you do Nexus letters for sleep apnea, secondary tinnitus all the time? Sure. Okay. Now, Jordan, OWCP is refused to pay for my medical treatment. Never heard of that. Must have been your previous life. You pay. No, I do it all the time. So you've got a claims examiner. Let me explain claims examiners. First of all, the people I see have bad claims examiners. If they have good claims examiners, I don't see them. So I can't say all claims examiners. But a claims examiner only needs 12th grade education, no training in medicine, no training in law, and they're really undertrained in federal workers' comp. In fact, I had the medical director of the National Association of Letter Carriers come to visit to say thank you and stuff. And he just met the new director of OWCP and said, your claims examiners are not well trained. He put in training program for them. They sued him for having to learn their job. You don't even get to know your claims examiner's name, which I understand. You don't dare tell what their name and where they live. Bad things are going to happen. I understand that. But so here's this person with a 12th grade education. And some of the denials, I go, they didn't even get a GED. I mean, we're talking about just non-common sense. So they're judge and jury and no checks and balances. Okay, but there is an appeal when you get your doctor, or you can do it, but you always want your doctor there to do an oral hearing. Or you can go to the Employee Compensation Appeal Board. Okay, so it's broken. They're swamped. Okay, I mean, they have to respond within 30 days. You can't do that in 30 days. So a lot of claims examiners will send you another second opinion and just get you offer calendar. And they have to because they're swamped. I mean, when I have a chart, my staff puts it all together in exact order, and it's all laid out on my desk, and I've summary list of everything. The claims examiner's getting one screen at a time in a random order, no order at all. Go in the econ files, there's just crap all over the place. It's like you took the chart and threw it on the floor. How they do it. So they need to be commended. Now, some of them are really bad. Okay. All right. So get a second opinion, get a denial, and then file for an oral hearing, and we'll talk to them. Get some common sense into it. All right. Okay.
Her last comment.
Yeah. What in the God gave an F is going on? Well, it's human beings. Speaking as the number one asshole that Ken Edwards said, that's my logo. And this beautiful woman, my wife, said, you're getting paid to be an asshole. I said, honey, I get paid to teach it. Okay? So, because the heart is evil, we do evil things. And if you've ever said, I'm surprised at somebody's behavior, you've never read the Bible, or if you did, you cherry picked. Jesus didn't come down because I'm nice. There's one verse I disagree with. A lot of verses I don't like, but one day I disagree with. And Paul said, I'm the chief of sinners. Well, at that time, that was probably true. But if Paul was sitting here with Gary and Miles, we'd be arguing as we're sitting in this room today. Because I think I am. So, okay, now here's Jordan. So that's the medical treatment. I guess we're through. Got anything online?
We do. All right. So thanks for waiting to have your answers or your questions answered, rather. We have on Facebook, Susie Harrison. I have an approved skin center claim on my ear, which was treated and I got my schedule award. My question is, since the claim is skin, does that mean if I get skin cancer on my arm, it's covered under my ear skin cancer claim?
No, you'd probably have to show it was metastasized due to the ear. If it's a new cancer, you're going to have to get a new claim.
What's the process for determining that?
You get a doctor write a medical rationale report.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And
It's
if
like your post office. You're out in the sun all day. That's an easy one.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a impairment scheduled for hearing loss, but there is for disfigurement. That's where you got it. There is a skin disfigurement. Yeah.
So there is just not enough information there to give her an affirmative yes or no, and so.
Well, yeah. If you think your work contributed to the slightest amount, it's going to be 100% covered if a doctor knows the law. But most doctors don't. They think it's beyond yet reasonable shadow of doubt criminal law. No,
So what
it's
I'm
not.
hearing you say she needs an appointment.
No, just send stuff in. Let's look at it
Okay.
before she does an appointment. Let's see if it's worth the trouble.
All right. So we have the man on YouTube who says, "Hello, Doc Ellis. There appear to be new changes that will be added and changed in the VA. The primary one that everyone is concerned with is, will the VA be privatized? What is your overall opinion?"
Don't have one. Haven't thought about it. And I usually have an opinion on everything. So that you put that. That's a rarity. Okay.
Maybe come back for next month's webinar.
Yeah.
Give you time to think on it.
No, I've seen private companies be just, for instance, it's partially privatized now. There are 3 companies that do C&P compensation and pension exams, and they don't train their people. And a lot of the people that do those are just crooks because they have that bias against junior litigant. I get things like lost toes in Korea, and I didn't know it was cold in Korea. Or it has noise-induced hearing loss, but 3.5 years in artillery didn't contribute. Come on.
Well, it's a quiet job, artillery.
Yeah. But now federal and VA is very fair. So if you're just out of the range, that's enough. But also, Aborigines in the middle of Africa, in the middle of Australia, they're not around just industry and trucks and normal. Old men don't get hearing loss. And yet they still call it presbycusis. And why do men have more? They mow more lawns. Jeez. Do you not understand physiology, doctors?
Well, as a follow-up, the man on YouTube says, also, Doc Ellis, and this is in all caps, thank you for the outstanding work, quote unquote, that you and your team do for us veterans.
I'll receive that from my team because my team's phenomenal. Because if I was on horrible bosses, I'd win. The only reason they put up with me is they get so much love like that.
All right. We have Jay Thornton on Facebook. I recently was awarded 50% for mental health by my, I believe this is a typo, but my Nexus had 70% symptoms. It says by my Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
Should I do a higher level review? And if so, could this impact my rating? Don't want to poke the bear.
The poking the bear is an interesting thought. I've seen people ask for an upgrade and then they go back to 10. Then you go through the process and get it back, and then it's a pain. But if you got PTSD, that's different than depression. Anxiety is different than depression and PTSD. It's different part of the brain. And a lot of times they'll lump stuff together. Yeah. So it's a thought.
Well,
But 50 is a good rating.
Yeah.
But then I had a guy that was at 50 for PTSD, and he was dropped to 10 without an exam, just out of the clear blue sky. Okay. And I saw him, and I said, the veteran seemed to be upset. I've explained to the veteran he should not be upset. The VA found the greatest doctor in the world that could do this without examining him, without talking to him. This has to be the greatest doctor in the world. Must have been Jesus writing the report. So, but I'm not that good. Oh, by the way, he's 70%, and he got to 70. I just caught him in the lie, outright lie.
All right. Let's move on here.
I'm not leaving. I'm just getting a drink.
All right. To Gail Mims on Facebook. Can I get a scheduled award while and still being treated for another case? I do get my check from the Department of Labor. They reduced my pay because of my age. Also, can they do that?
Never heard of it. I don't know. Don't know.
So unique.
I've never heard of that. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, more information would be very helpful, Gail,
Yeah.
on this one. So
Google it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, if you're still here, Gail,
Yeah.
please provide it and we'll answer it live. We have Matt Sanford on Facebook. Schedule award.
No, go back to what else did she have? She's
No, is Gail? That's all she has.
they just lowered her, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but she was asking if she can get another scheduled award while she's
Okay, you get now schedule work. So let's say you're getting paid workers' comp for a back. And if I do a scheduled award for your back, it'll be the same amount. Check will be the same amount every month unless you take a lump sum, in which you pay a 4% penalty. But as soon as that scheduled award stops, the check stops. So there's no really reason to ever do a scheduled award on it except on something you're on temporary total disability on workers' comp for. But let's say you had a separate carpal tunnel. You get a scheduled award for that. Or a separate claim of a different body part. You can get a scheduled award and still getting your workers' comp.
All right. Well, now we have one here from Matt Sanford on Facebook. Schedule award question, please. I am a 100% PNP disabled veteran, and I took an OPM disability retirement from Customs and Border Protection. Okay, I slipped or ruptured a disc at work opening a big sliding metal door. This is all on paper. Got time off, 40 and 40 for it. I had injections, and now I must take gabapentin for the rest of my life. My left leg is numb and tingly from my knee to my foot. It makes my balance off, and it shoots piano-like fire lightning from my butt to my foot.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do next, Dr. Ellis? I requested my medical records from the VA for you. Please advise, because from my research, it looks like I'm qualified for right leg. Like it hurts to walk, stand, and even sitting down for too long. It is excruciating. Thank you.
Okay, so if it happened on the job and you filed, you got a 301 and all those kind of forms and stuff, then it's done. But since you've probably not been you have to file for a cumulative trauma injury within 3 years of being a federal employee. Okay, so it may be past that 3-year deadline. But if you got hurt on the job and it's documented, we could go back in time and get it accepted under the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, a workers' comp claim. Okay, it'll be a long process for you to get it done. Then once we get that accepted, then you get a scheduled award for that nerve down your leg.
All right. So
but mainly get the records to us with that question, and we'll look at it, and hopefully it was documented. No, even better, you have an OWCP claim number. If your supervisor turned it into Federal Workers Comp, OWCP, and you got a claim number, then we'll take care of it and we'll run with it. And we'll win that for you, because that's a slam dunk.
all right.
It only takes 30 years. It's for your great grandkids.
We have a question here from Richard Silva on YouTube. Good morning. I have a question. I have spinal problems that cause pain in my extremities. I've had 2 spinal surgeries and ablation shots in the spine. I'll be applying for a scheduled award soon. Is the 5th AMA guidelines better than the 6th AMA?
Yes, the 5th is better now, and they're recommending we use it. Yeah. But for instance, let's say the nerves down from the neck down the arm, the 5th edition. The 6th edition drop the upper extremity peripheral nerves from a spine by 36%, and the lower legs by 40%. Now, that's just fraud. That's just fraud. Why would you lower it? But I was an editor of the 4th edition. I think I'm the only guy there that actually sees patients that are plaintiffs. And I hear these guys, we don't have to do this. We don't have to do that. It's like it's an insurance company writing these books. Now, but by the same token, as they've gone along, and it took a lot, this is a lot of people spent a lot of time on these books. I surely shouldn't knock them because it does give us all a even playing field. And the one thing about federal workers' comp, our district medical advisors know this book backwards and forwards. And so, and because you don't want to schedule work by anybody that doesn't know this book backwards forward, and every FECA, Federal Employment Compensation Bulletin, because if you have to just do scheduled awards, no, you're screwing people. You also need to know the federal workers' comp bulletins so that you can do that. But everybody's in the same field. For instance, it was a shoulder rated 18%. I incorrectly, not my staff, they wouldn't make this mistake, multiplied by a factor of 10%. So 18 plus 1.8 is 20. The district medical advisor correctly showed it should have been 5%. And so it went from 20 to 19, but it didn't go from 20 to 5. That in the first 4 editions, they just throw numbers out and just that's my opinion, your opinion. And remember, this is just opinions. This is not science. The book says that. This is not science. It's just a consensus of a bunch of doctors, which are extremely conservative anyway.
Well, I think it speaks volumes. If you actually set them side by side for the camera to see, you'll see that the 6th edition is actually smaller than the 5th edition. So they tried to.
No. Actually, it's more detailed. It's more.
Oh,
No.
Smaller text?
That's not fair.
Oh, it looks.
The
It looks
6th
skinnier.
edition. The 6th edition. I mean, you talk about Nerd City, and that's a compliment, Dave, man, because these guys spent time and time. I mean, yeah, and lots and lots and lots of hours, and it's wonderful.
I'm
to see
talking
this
about
thing
the
evolve.
thickness of
I know the
record.
thickness
Yeah.
doesn't count.
Okay.
Just okay.
Fair enough. All right. We have Aziza Native Girl on YouTube now. Just got denied for flat feet with favorable findings. S&P states I have flat feet. At exit exam, I was told I had flat feet. I've ordered my I've ordered me decal records. What's my next step?
Okay. So here's VA. Remember, it's very, very fair. So you have flat feet, you go in, and then you tell me they got a little bit worse. That's a medical record. So if you have no records, that's it. And so when I talk to people, I say, I don't give a damn what you think. I don't give a damn what anybody else says. I want to know what your body tells me. Yeah, I hurt my knee. For instance, I had a guy the other day wanted me to take tinnitus to all this stuff, and some of it I could. I said, can't do that. But I noticed in there on his little form, he had surgery in his right knee, his right ankle. I said, when did that happen? That happened in the service. How much do you weigh now? Oh, now with that weight gain and activity of daily living, I can get that heart covered. And that tinnitus will contribute, and hypertension will contribute. But now I can do that. Okay.
Well, Matt Stanford replied. He's the individual who had the piano like fire.
Oh, yeah. Oh, ouch.
going on.
Yeah, I understand.
He said that yes, I have on workers' comp CA7, and here he says thank you, and it's all my left leg. Sorry, got a claim number 2.
Okay, then yeah, you just need to
Thank
come
you,
in.
doctor.
Now, you need a torture test, an EMG nerve conduction study, because the conduction study will help. And if not in the 5th edition, we can do something. Yeah. And of course, if it's positive, it helps a lot. But a negative EMG, folks, doesn't mean anything. Because before that, what the nerves have insulation around them called myelin. And it takes a while for that to degenerate for the EMG to be positive. So you can have terrible, awful pain early on, and the EMG nerve conduction study be negative. So a negative doesn't mean anything. It's a good test. If it's positive, it's positive. But But a lot of people do back surgery and never get an EMG because it's based on physical findings and your symptoms. Okay.
Right. We have Marcus Conley on Facebook. Hey, Dr. Ellis, I finally had right shoulder surgery last Tuesday. it turned out that the damage was more than what the MRI had showed. Could we use that new information to do reconsideration or go to ECAB?
No, just do another report. Don't go to ECAB. Do another report. ECAB's going to take time. So we do another report, and now we've got someone visualizing it, and we do a report. Then when they deny it, because it's going to be a claim, if they denied if they denied your shoulder, then there's going to be. Then you immediately will ask for an oral hearing, and let me tell you about oral hearings. This is interesting. I've done 1,589 trial testimonies, and I consider those oral hearings as trial testimony. I've never lost a case. When I've gone to federal criminal court for federal employees, every time so far, the federal judge has threatened the 3 attorneys for the Department of Justice of Washington, D.C. with contempt and even jail. Because these dumb fools, in federal, you're supposed to give them the last 4 years of your trial testimony. I just give them the whole thing. Here's an Excel spreadsheet. If you would read any of those transcripts, you would not let me in the courtroom. Because I'll kick your ass.
Talk about Tom Majors real quick, and I'll pop it on the screen.
No, that's he was upset because on a patient, and he had to, you said on your website that you kick federal attorneys' asses, and because we went and I did it, and I said that I'm going to kick your ass, and I kicked it. Now I understand when I started doing that in 2005, 2004, that's a target on my back. But damn it, if you're a federal employee, you better know the law and you better follow it correctly. You've got a badge. You have to behave. And I will call you on it. If the emperor doesn't have clothes on, it's my job to tell you you're naked. And see, I got saved when I was 31. I thought I'd be burned at stake. Anything less is nothing. I have no fear of the federal government or of anybody else. My only fear comes from above. And I'm going to tell the truth, and I don't care who it hair-lips. Speaking of hair-lip, okay, this is Charles, a mail handler in Amarillo, with the charts this thick, because he's got been there 100 years, carpal tunnel, cubital tunnel, neck, back surgery, blah, blah, blah. They get a video. Now, the post office still uses videos to intimidate their employees. The Employee Compensation Appeal Board said, don't do videos. They are not the job, and that may be on medication. The post office still spends a lot of money and pays private detectives to do videos. Well, let me tell you something, people. Videos have to be interpreted by a white coat, not a judge, not a jury, and not an investigator. Videos are not medical evidence until a doctor has looked at it. You may think it's a slam dunk, but anyway, so they get a video of him lifting his groceries and taking it into his daughter's house, 30 feet. And they file criminal charges, 5 years in jail, $250,000 fine, blah, blah, blah. So I get a call from the union in Amarillo. And it says, sounds like I need to come to the oral hearing. Doc, I've done this for 23 years. I've never had a doctor come to an oral hearing. Now, this really pisses me off against doctors. Now, if you do state workers' comp, you're going to be doing deposition. If you do personal injury, you're going to do either video or live court. Otherwise, you're not going to do it. If you're going to do federal workers' comp, clinics, hospitals, you damn sure better be able to do an oral hearing. You damn sure need to go to that oral hearing, and you damn sure need to take an ECAB. And if you don't know how to do that, don't do that. You're hurting people. You're denying them everything. There's a law firm in Texas that won't do an oral hearing. I said, that is legal malpractice. Well, we just don't do oral hearings. Then you advertise that you help federal. FTC ought to put you out of business for false advertising. And then I said, sue me, and we'll go to court. And I'll show this travesty of, okay, anyway, so we get out there, get this nice, wonderful judge, just big old lady. Used to be a federal judge, University of Texas law professor. I'll bet she was an awesome federal judge. You just know this lady was she was good. So now she's seen doctors for insurance companies say 0% impairment. Lie. They've seen ambulance chase attorneys get a doctor say they're 100% impaired. She's seen dueling doctors. The reason it's hard to get people to do what I do, the other side's going to call you a whore because you're getting paid for your time, see? And that's just like it. So if you worry about what they think, if you spell God T-G-Y, don't do this. I still got that guy. Okay, so anyway, she's sitting there. Dr. Ellis, what are you getting paid? And that's a legitimate attitude and a legitimate question because she's seen this travesty that I've seen since I first started it. And when I first started, there's an orthopedic surgeon for the insurance company to write 0 for a fused back. Rod's in it. The back surgery made him well. Okay. And then another guy write 50% for strained back and everything. Neither of them does this. They just whores. Okay, so anyway, I went. Now, if I were in federal court, I would not have responded this way. Because we have the best judicial system mankind's ever come up with. Even though we had Jim Crow laws and stuff, but we eventually, our laws are set up better than any other country. Because the guys that wrote those things, they learned to reading the Bible, and they knew the heart was evil. There are checks and balances. And that's the trouble with federal workers' comp. There's no checks and balances for a claims examiner. You don't even get to know their name. That can be fixed. But anyway, I said, I got a good steak last night. And she, because as a federal judge, she would have jumped down my throat, and directly so. Probably put me in jail, prison overnight, and should. Don't you be flippant with me. That means that she doesn't know the Federal Employment Compensation Act. This is an oral hearing. It's informal. Now, we're keeping the transcript. They've always said transcript, but it's not necessary. It's an informal hearing. And you don't have the authority to threaten me with anything. So if I don't take over, because they get the Department of Justice guy outside to arrest him at the end of this, this guy's going to jail. So I sat there and I looked at her and I looked at her and I slowly went around the table. I got right in her face. Right in her face where you can see the hair of my nose. Ma'am, I'm a clinical professor of occupational and legal medicine. I am the world's leading authority on the medical and legal aspects of the Federal Employment Compensation Act. I've taken off 2 days to come here and testify. My wife is at home with the movie dance. We're moving this weekend. She's doing this all by herself. The union bought me steaks last night. They're damn sure going to buy me some beer tonight. And I'm going to teach you the FICA Act. And I'm going to tell you the truth. And I don't care if it hair lips you, and I named the head supervisor and the attorney. And because you can imagine, you got, oh shit, Ellis is bipolar. Oh my God, we're going to jail. Oh, this guy's crazy. When you're taking on fools, you got to treat them like the fools they are. Okay. And then she goes, tell me what you think. And of course, I led into him for 20 minutes and explained the law and all the stuff. And she understood. And when I left, they said, she pointed at the supervisor and said, you said a list before lunch. You don't want my opinion. She's still raked over the coals. So I'm assuming management in Amarillo thinks I'm the Antichrist. And when I die, it'll become mythology in North Texas. Now, doctors, if you can't do that, don't do this stuff. But you come here, I'll show you how to do it. Now, you don't have to do it with my personality. Because the law is a law. You just speak the law, teach the other side. The trouble is, we doctors are bad business people, and no one believes that we know the law. And of course, I don't help anything by calling myself a hick doctor when I'm really the world's leading authority. And that's not arrogant, that's just the truth. Okay.
Well, we have here another question on YouTube from JJ. Hello, doctor. I have a lumbar accepted condition, including radiculopathy. Thank you. 2 surgeries currently on TTD. OWCP declined a 3rd surgery that my ortho recommended. OWCP is sending me to a second opinion.
Oh yeah, she's just getting no dance. And now the second opinion may come through and say, yeah, you need it.
So
okay, so here's what you do.
He continues.
You do the second opinion. Make sure you show up. Okay, and then if he agrees, then you're home free. Then your doctor says, just writes on it. It could be a letter, but you could just write it on a prescription pad. I'm referring you to Dr. Ellis for consultation. I need to be a treating doctor. And if I agree with him, I will have a second opinion saying we need an oral hearing. Then if the claim examiner denies it, you after it's 5 to 30 days, you ask for an oral hearing. We talk to a human being and get your surgery. I mean, this is open and shut. This guy needs a 3rd surgery. And the odds of having 2 needing a 3rd, absolutely. Statistically, absolutely. And that you've got a doctor leaving to do a 3rd one. God bless him. Stay with this guy.
this is the interesting part. Is he followed up with the comment, what happens, and you answered this part, what happens if my second opinion disagrees with my treating physician? This is my 5th second opinion.
Right. Now, post office, federal government, listen to me. 5th second opinion, the guy's had surgery. He ain't faking. Now, so the claims examiner needs to get it. They have to do something. So she just second opinion, and get on your e-comp accounts, folks, and start sending me how much those people are paid. It's $3,000 to $5,000 a pop. And then you can save 20% off the board if you stop doing all these second opinions and stop using whores. Get people that are honest. Now, I'm telling you right now, pretty soon I'm going to have people sitting in that chair and telling their experience with their second opinion doctor. So this is what I recommend you do. When you go to your second opinion, you turn your telephone on to record. So you'll know how long you were there and you'll have the recording. You don't have to tell him anything. We're not using this record, but this will help you when you say, this is what happened. I was with Ellis Clinic for an hour and a half and I spent 15 minutes. This guy never touched my knee. We're talking about travesty and faking and lying, cheating white coats. And they should be called. Okay. So I have a lady, carpal tunnel and a TFC tear. And I rate the range of motion, rate the nerves. And he sees the doctor here in this clinic, he does this building. Really good doctor. He does think strokes and rehab stuff. And he rates the range of motion, but doesn't rate the nerve. So I see him. I said, you've got to rate the nerve. Because this federal shop, I'm going to just pay to see her again. I'm going to get another EMG. It's going to be positive. And you're going to have egg on your face. Because he gets paid a lot of money to do what he did, to lie like that. He's a good man. But he's a lying scuzzball when he does that. Okay. So anyway. And so, sure, it actually was a blessing for her. Because the median nerve not only was still positive, but this other nerve here, this is called the Guyane canal, the ulnar nerve for these fingers. So we got another surgery. But in my report to OWCP, this is more than slander. This is what's called tortious interference in business. I'm writing a letter to people that pay this guy and told the story that he didn't avail himself the opportunity to re-examine this person after I talked to him. It's my medical opinion, the name his name, has either an innocence of the ability to perform an adequate medical history and physical, or is prevaricating, which is a neat way to say you're stupid or lying. Now I see him in the elevator. He seemed to be upset. And I said, you sold your soul. You want to go outside and discuss this? Why don't you file a complaint with the State Medical Association, the State Medical Board? And we'll go get the last 10 patients you and I have seen. And I have Channel 4 News there. And I'll have my video people here. He stopped doing Middle East. Also, and federal workers' comp, your doctor can go to the meeting, do the appointment. Can't say anything, but he can observe. And so I'd send him a letter and fax, and then I got, I canceled. I think that if you are asking another party for money, like in a car wreck or workers' comp, you're suing somebody you want money from them, and they you have to go see their doctor. You see your attorney's doctor, then that should be open video. Then privacy's over. If you want money, then you're giving up your privacy. And let's videotape this legal medicine stuff. I just turned the cameras on. Wouldn't change my practice at all. But what had happened, the ordinary doctors, the honest doctors, wouldn't do it. Be afraid of it, especially the federal government. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just pontificating. Okay.
All right. We have Moonline 32 on YouTube. Is there a cure for bipolar disorder?
Yeah, when you die. But there's a lot of treatment for it. And it's hard because now we can actually do a functional MRI and see if you're bipolar or schizophrenic. Now, when you're in the manic phase, it must be a wonderful, wonderful feeling. It must be awesome because you're just, everything's just vivid. And then when you're depressed, that's really bad. And in between, you're doing good. And so it's hard to take your medicine. Right? And sometimes you have to do it just so you stay married. But one of the greatest acts of faith I've seen, I had a friend that was bipolar, and as he got older, it actually got worse and ran for president there. Anyway, his wife, they love each other, had to get a financial separation. This guy, when he's manic, I mean, he's hearing voices. I mean, it's wow. And you're not taking his medicine. He tells his lawyer, you make sure she's taken care of. So his spiritual man was able to overcome the organic brain. Is that we're 96% same DNA as chimpanzees. His organic brain. His spiritual man was able to speak. Wow. Big jewel in his crown he gets to heaven.
Well, we have a reply again from Matt Sanford, says that he noticed your hat and welcome home, brother.
Oh, yeah. Now, of course, I'm kicking and screaming, but if I hadn't been drafted, we would not be having this conversation. Yeah, that's one of those God deals. That introduced me to occupational medicine, then the legal medicine, and then the rest. And then I'm at a war memorial up in Edmond and remembering all the stuff my wife and kid and I went through and all that stuff. And the Lord spoke verbally. Normally the Lord speaks quietly. This is verbal. Help the vets out. Okay, sure. What do I do? So I do have prayer requests. Okay, we're in the beginnings of the history. My brother-in-law in the church he goes to, Crossings, wonderful church, they do a lot of prison ministry. And he mentioned there are a lot of vets in prison. So I talked to my lawyers and know this stuff. When you're in prison as a vet, let's say you have 50% VA disability, you get to keep 10, okay, which is like $171.41 right now, okay? And the other 40% goes to your family, which is going to be a nice feeling. Then when you leave, depends on the charges, you get to 50. Also, if you try to get an upgraded prison or try to get a VA claim accepted, it's something to do. And so we're talking about, I'm not sure how the Lord's going to work it out, but we're doing the research. It would be nice to start a ministry, do it through churches, so that it's a 501c. Because I do widow reports all the time, and I charge $500 and gift it off. Because if you charge the widow, well, I didn't even come to the ceiling. Anyway, and they always want to donate, and said, well, you can donate to a church and you get it tax deducted. But I don't need to be Ellis Clinic be a 501c. We need to be separate. Because and we pay all the staff the normal fees for doing. Now we charge less than anybody else. If you know anybody, now we charge $500 for. So let's say you have a shoulder, that's $500. If you want a DBQ, it's another $500. I think we're the cheapest ever. Now be careful in VA. This is a VA. Beware claims predators. Okay. There are people that are charging $5,000 and $10,000, and then they want a piece of your award. Now, but they're not VA accredited. Like every state has a Veterans Commission, American Legion, DAV, VFW. These people, they become veteran service officers. They have training and they know how to do it. And you always want to go through them. So when they send it in electronic, don't do it yourself. It's free. And they're accredited. The doctors don't get to be, I don't think. But anyway, and so a law firm we use a lot, they're accredited. All right. Now, the unfortunate thing is you cannot start with a lawyer in VA. Okay. It'd be nice if you could, but you can't. But after you get a denial, or the lawyer can help you overcome a denial, help you with the appeals, or help you with an upgrade. But they can't start out, which is a shame.
Well,
you've got all these other people. You just can't find doctors who know how to write this stuff.
So we have a question here from Perch Jerker on YouTube. Would you be willing to formulate a letter we could hand to our surgeons explaining the Nexus and the importance of it for veterans?
No, we do not want them writing a Nexus report. I am licensed to do brain surgery. If I do it, it's malpractice. They don't need to do it. They need to send it to somebody else to do the scut work. Okay? Send it to somebody that does that, because the wording changes. Acceleration, aggravation, and you've got to stay up on that. And they don't be doing that scut work. Just like you're trying to get a second opinion, you're trying to get surgery, send them to Ellis. Doesn't cost the doctor anything, doesn't cost the patient anything. We'll examine you and do a second opinion. Then if they still deny it, we'll do the oral hearing and get it one for you. But the surgeon shouldn't be wasting time doing that. They just refer it. Just get over the ego trip and refer it.
We have Jennifer Elliott on YouTube. I sent an email to you with my issues. You responded for me to send in certain paperwork. Thank you. I'm trying to get it all together, but hard to do while being sick and having brain fog.
Amen. I agree. Yeah.
We have a comment here on Facebook from Arlene Frolic. Hi, Dr. Ellis. I had cervical fusion on 3 vertebrae.
Ouch.
And EAS told I can't get scheduled word for negative EMG. I have had numbness, tingling, weakness from my neck to both legs. Does the same you just said apply? Injured at post office rural carrier?
Yeah, you got to have you don't get anything from the neck, but you get the nerve down the arm. Go to another EMG guy
All right.
because they may not be okay. But it may not be a lot.
Leander on YouTube. Once I send all of my records in, how long to get an appointment?
Oh, about 5 years. I have no clue. I just work here, guys. My staff knows more than I do, and I'm not being falsely humble. I mean, my Lord, the Lord has sent us. They may be angels. I don't even want. Yeah, no, it takes a while because we're just. I think I'm 21 people working for us. Okay. Now I have an investment company. If they do a bunch of change on us, then we'll quadruple. But we can't handle everything. So by the way, if you're calling, you can't get through. Hang up and call again, because we're swamped.
All right, we have Moonline 32 on YouTube. What's the last studies or treatments that succeed in improving diabetic well-being?
That's my family practice, and I've not done that. I've been doing legal medicine. I've not admitted a patient since 1982. I do legal and occupational medicine. I refer that to endocrinologists.
All right.
Wow, a doctor didn't know everything.
All right, Mr. B on YouTube. Can you put in for fees after you retire? Person had a lot of mental problems.
Now, read that again.
Can you put in for fees after you retire?
Fees?
It's non-specific. I'm not sure what Mr. B, if he wants to expand on that.
Okay.
But
Furs. I bet he meant furs.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah. So at a certain age, if you retire, just ordinary retirement, it's going to be up here. Furs is just let you take it early. Like Social Security disability, you can get on Social Security before your actual age date. Okay, but for furs, let's assume it's furs. It has to be done within 1 year of that you're actually a federal employee. 366 days is too late. It's got to be put in. If you're near the deadline, file for furs immediately, then you get your medical opinion.
All right. We've got Bilby on YouTube. Most doctors I've had do not know what a Nexus is, but we have Doc Ellis. That should be telling vets about the best vet doc in the country. Thanks, Doc.
No. There are a lot of us out there. Even the guys that tell you to worry about, some of the doctors do really good Nexus reports.
Well, if there's any questions, we're coming up here on,
We don't have to do an hour.
All right. Well, if you do have questions, go to askdocellis.com and submit them. They will be read at the beginning of next month's webinar, which is the first Friday of every month at 11 a.m.
And pray about veterans in prison that we could check. You imagine we start doing that, there's going to be a lot of satanic attack. That we do it right and it's open and everybody knows what's going on. For instance, I will not donate to a veterans if they don't have their finances on the website. I want to know how much you get, how much you give out, how much your people are paid. All right? If you don't do that, you don't get any money from me. Because there are a lot of people want to help the vets out. And there was a lot of money in it too. So
Well, with that, thanks for joining us, Doc.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Lord willing.
Well, we had a question come on right at the end, and we're going to jump back on real quick and answer it. Here from Richard Silva. My spinal surgeon released me for sedentary. Currently doing shops in back. Work for USPS as carrier. Is OPM retirement the best or vocational rehab? I'm 39 years old.
Okay. Now, first of all, you go ahead and get a FERS report and put it in your safety deposit box. You can always fall back on it. That's 60% the first year, 40% taxable. Okay. So voc rehab and stay working, because you get bored if you don't, and stay working. And if you can't work, you stay on workers' comp. For instance, it's a 60-year-old postal employee. He's on a walker, and his hips, knees, and ankles are approved. And he's on workers' comp 75% of his pay till he dies. State would be about 12 weeks. But anyway, and the nurse case manager wants him on FERS, taxable 40%. I said, that's a good idea. Save the post office a lot of money. Now you hired him under 1916 law. The law is very fair. The only real tweak in it was in 74. He gets to pick his doctor, and his doctor decides what his restrictions are, what he can return to work for. His doctor's reports have more probative legal value. That's why we always win. Okay? It's not like car wrecks, two equal doctors. Okay? So they send him to a second opinion. He said he can work. Yes, he can work. These are his restrictions on a CA-17 or an OWCB-5 form. Don't worry about the forms. And the post office, we don't have a job like that. They send another second opinion. And again, yes, he can work with these restrictions. And since I'm his treating doctor, he chose me to be the guy that does his federal workers' comp, and 3 times. So they probably spent $15,000 to $20,000, and he's still on workers' comp. But he does have his FERS. He can use that if he wants to. Well, we went ahead and did it, so he's still a federal employee. So yeah, because I did have one person once that said, Doc, I'm going from 75% tax-free to 40%, because every time I see Department of Labor and an envelope, it just scares the hell out of me. And I said, you'll add 10 years to life. I'm just the only guy that doesn't do that way. I got an IRS letter once. I went, oh, good. And my countenance dropped. I did it like this because it was a refund. I just like wars. Don't mess with me.
Well, all right. Well, with that, again, ask your questions, askdocellis.com. We'll be back the first Friday next month, like we are every month at
Thank
11
you,
a.m.
Miles. Thank you, Gary.
See you guys later.
I've got the greatest staff.